Hi, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. So I'm feeling a little bit ambivalent about this video in particular because it's been in the pipeline, in my mind, in my heart for the longest time, and I've thought about it, I've directed in my head, I've scripted it so many times, and I tried to actually execute it in December, but I failed dismally. Or not dismally, that's unfair, but I failed somewhat. So back in the day, actually since growing up, grew up in a very sheltered kind of a household, wasn't allowed to do much. I wouldn't travel a lot, and one of the ways in which I could escape and travel and see the world was obviously watching TV and reading a lot. So one of the things that I used to love to do was to watch travel shows, particularly travel shows that traveled around South Africa and around the Southern African region, and actually the whole African continent. Can change the view of one or two people about seeing how beautiful this country really is. As I'd mentioned, that I have traveled, been through at least 7 of the 9 provinces in South Africa, and the landscape is just so beautiful. So I just want to say, okay, let's talk about what inspired me, talking about those TV shows. One of those TV shows was Going Nowhere Slowly. I mean, I used to look forward, I think it used to come on Sunday afternoons, and I used to absolutely love the pace of that TV show. It was very chilled, and it was very much not about going to see the glitz and the glamour of South Africa. It was about, again, entrenching themselves in the lifestyle of the ordinary South African. Yeah, and then the second one was Shoreline. Shoreline was basically a TV show that spoke about the history of the coastal region of the Southern African place of Southern Africa. So they would zone in on a particular part of the coast, and they would talk about the history, the battles, and the good things, the bad things that would happen there. And I absolutely was enthralled with that TV show. Another one was Precious Africa. Precious Africa, I think that ignited my desire to really travel the African continent. And it was about this young girl who just went and traveled with a couple of camera people. I don't think it was a huge production team. I just think for her it was one of those things that she wanted to do, and through that she did like a whole self-discovery thing. And I can imagine that to have been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Getting stopped in the airports of Chad and having to pay the people to get in, all that sort of stuff. But anyway, not that I want that. I want path of least resistance, man. But the other thing this one wasn't necessarily a TV show. This one was a radio show, and it was called Time to Travel or something like that, and it was by Michelle Constant on SAFM. And they would feature people that would travel again to the small towns of the country, and they would talk about the foods and the different people that they would interact with, and it was never about a pomp and circumstance. It was never about like, oh, living in the 6-star hotel and glitz and glamour or whatever, but it was just about taking South Africa in for what it is and appreciating it for what it is. Now, getting into this video, I was saying earlier that I'm feeling ambivalent about it because I am a type A personality. I want things to be perfect, and I can see it in my head sometimes. The execution versus what is in my head are two completely different things, and as a result I'll just give up and walk away. So I'm hoping that this two-part series is going to show off the beauty of this much of the Eastern Cape. Just to backtrack a little bit, I think, as I said, that I was inspired by those TV shows, and then I did a road trip a few years ago, which was from East London all the way to Cape Town, but we stopped at various places, and that was the trigger for me that made me definitely want to start this video. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the content from then, so I suppose this is gonna be an excuse to do the road trip again. I hope you guys enjoy this very elementary, very low production kind of a video, and just hopefully see what I see when I do road trips around this country. Okay, so the first stop was Ventersburg, or just outside of Ventersburg, after a long drive. And Ventersburg is in between Kroonstad and Bloemfontein. It's about 100 kilometers outside of Bloemfontein. And when I read up on Ventersburg, well, firstly, Ventersburg is in the province of the Free State. And interestingly enough, well, not interestingly enough, I think everyone pretty much knows that it's a farming town. And the interesting part is that it's quite close to the Drakensberg Mountains. That's what I read, at least. I mean, I don't know the actual distance. What I appreciate about it is just how flat Ventersburg is. And I'm just in awe of all the experience.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can
Whenever I see so much land, I always think of but I always think of Simba when that old man, Mufasa, I don't know, the old man, and he goes, Simba, look at everything that touches. Whatever the light touches is yours. Yeah, anyway, I feel like Simba now, except it's not really mine. Lol. Okay, time to get going. I'm about an hour away from Bloemfontein. Did I mention that I hate that city? What I love about South Africa is how different each part of the country really can be. There's the beach, there are forests, there's mountains, there's Karoo, desert, complete desert places. Like when I drove to, what is this place called? Nowport or something like that. It's in the Northern Cape. And when I drove through there, and I found this place called Gariep Dam, which was like an oasis in the middle of a desert, very dry place. I'm on my way to I'm about 100 kilometers away from Aliwal North. I still have about 17 years before I get to East London. Let's just double check. Yep, 17 years. There's 470 kilometers left, and it's gonna take another 6 hours to get to get to Iceland. I guess the other interesting aspect to this is that there's not a single soul in sight for kilometers and kilometers and kilometers. It's just land and some cattle, like about 10 cattle. There's cows there. Welcome to Smithsfield. Smithsfield was one of those towns that was almost like a in between kind of a town. I forgot what the phrase that they used. And it was a town that was colonized by the British. What's new? And in and around that area, it is actually named after a guy named Harry Smith. He was a British governor, and he privatized a lot of that land. And by privatized, meaning that he gave it to a lot of other British colonizers. Hence the name of this town called Smithsfield. It was one of the main routes that people went through to get through the diamond farms in South Africa. And this country was actually, the Basotho people lived there. And obviously, when the colonizers came, they didn't live there anymore. But anyway, it was quite a key route to get to the diamond mining towns. Also, another interesting and fun fact was that the then Prime Minister Verwoerd made an announcement from Smithsfield saying that South Africa will be withdrawing from the British Commonwealth. There isn't much that's actually written about Smithsfield prior to it being colonized. They just say that it belonged to the Basotho people, and then colonizers came, as if there was no history prior to that. But yeah, that's the history of Smithfield. I'm officially in the Eastern Cape. I've just passed Alloway North now. Funny enough, I woke up this morning craving steers, but for whatever reason I just kept putting off stopping, and then I'd nibble on the food, because I still have a lot of food. I want to enjoy the road, but I'm also sort of over the road because I've been on the road since 4 a.m. and I think the time is now 12, and I still have a good 3 hours on the road before I get to East London. So just had protein here and there. So one thing I've really come to appreciate about the Eastern Cape is how hilly it is. And I always say that I love driving to KZN because I love the mountains. But the hills of the Eastern Cape always reminds me of Thabo Mbeki's poem. He's a piece of writing, whatever it's called, that is called I'm an African, and he says there I owe my being to the valleys and the hills, and then he carries on. I can't quote it verbatim, but I just absolutely love the beautiful rolling hills of the Eastern Cape. So welcome to the Eastern Cape. To me, now let's carry on driving because girl has got a long way to go. So I'm in a part of East London called Abbotsford. This is the Mahoney River, otherwise known as the Nahuru River. But anyway, I just wanted to take a view of this stunning beauty. So this is just in the middle of the suburb. That I am now on my way to Amadola Berg, which is the Amadola Mountains, and over the last few days that I've been here, I had like a whole long list of to-do list that I wanted to do, obviously, of places where I wanted to go to and I wanted to visit and all sorts of things. But I've just been feeling so exhausted. I've literally just slept my entire holiday away. So I would say today is really the first day that I'm going to be filming and trying to see if I can make time, if I can make at least do all the 5 billion things that I wanted to do. I've only got 2 days before I go back to Johannesburg, and today on the list, the first thing is the Amadola Bergs, and then when I come back, hopefully I can go to Kids Beach and Winter Strands, depending on what time I come back to Iceland. Wait, is that a crocodile? Just kidding, it's not. That was the dumbest and most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Okay, I am 32 kilometers away from the mountains, but as you can see behind me, I'll take a bit of an aerial shot just now. Yeah, I'm almost there. Interestingly enough, I was wondering, because it's 100 kilometers outside of East London, and I was wondering, why is it going to take me an hour and a half? And then as I was driving, I was like, oh wait, I'm like a few kilometers away from the mountains. Then the tarred road just came to a dead end, and then it became gravel road. And I thought to myself, my poor car. I've got a small little car that I take to anywhere and everywhere. But I suppose it's part of the things, or part of the reason why I bought a car is so that I can experience this. But I just wanted to just take a minute and just really absorb and appreciate the beauty that is in the Amadola. One of the things that I was actually really thinking about in the car when I was driving here is, what is Amadola? Like, what is Idola? And then I was reminded of this guy, this old man that I used to work with ages ago. And he told me that Idola is, back in the day, was people that would use a bow and arrow. And I think I should fact check. Oh, hey, English. Maybe I should also learn how to speak. Maybe I should just fact check that as to what Idola actually is. But I think it was like a specific type of a person that could use a bow and arrow to shoot, obviously, game or animals. I don't know, hopefully they didn't shoot each other because that's violent. But for miles and miles and miles and miles, okay, let's try this again. For kilometers and kilometers and kilometers, there aren't people. There's cattle, but there aren't people. It's just so beautiful and magical and clean. And oh, there's a person over there in a tractor. Turns out that the only way to get to these mountains is through an access control road, which means it's private property and it's only for forestation purposes, blah blah nonsense. So that long drive, that's how prepared I am for this drive. That long drive feels like it was for nothing. At least I do get to see it. Maybe I'll feel like I'm hiking. This is how prepared I am for this journey. Preparing the shortest race known to mankind. I don't know how I thought I was going to climb up those mountains, but anyway, at least I got to see it. It's pretty. Okay, so I wanted to take a quick video of the signpost over here and just say and confirm the people of the Eastern Cape Amadolo Mountains. I went and drove to Khulu as well as Kids Beach. I couldn't find much about the history of these places other than the standard normal, it was colonized, blah 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 blah. But what I just really particularly loved about these little seaside towns is how, you know, when you live in Johannesburg and it's the buzz and it's the energy and it's like on to the next and let's do this and let's do that. But what I loved about these towns is just the easygoing nature, the chilled disposition of these towns, and just how beautiful it is. I am in Kids Beach. Beautiful little seaside town. Almost reminds me, if you've ever been to Lagales, Cape Lagales. I can't remember. And I can see that the tide is coming in, so maybe I should be going back to the car. But being the adventurous spirit that I am, and might regret this a little bit later, I'm definitely gonna carry on walking. This seaside town is about 30 minutes outside of East London. I've always wanted to come here, but for whatever reason I just never really made the effort. And now that I know that time is running out because I'll be leaving East London in 2 days, I was like, it's such a beautiful seaside town. So nice. As you can see, it's quite an affluent area. I would suggest that it's more of an upmarket holiday makers type of a town. I mean, look at this. Hi, and then Amba South. I wanted to get a shot of and when I got there, beautiful like river. If I'm feeling more brave when I drive back, maybe I'll stop. But when I got into Khulu, it was dead quiet and it was just forest everywhere. And I was like, the black person always dies first in the movie, so I'm not about that life. Look at these holiday homes that people own. I have to own one of these one day. I think, I don't know, do I want a holiday home? I think I've got one already. No. I am running out of battery very, very fast. But I just quickly wanted to guys, I need you to take a look at this place. It looks creepy as hell. Like there's hardly anyone. I don't know why I keep doing these things. I done been to Khulu Nature Reserve. I'm not gonna walk too far in because again, I'm running out of time. Because I'm meeting some friends at the beachfront in 2 hours. Look at how gorgeous it is. This is called Khulu Mouth. It's a nature reserve. That's the only thing that I do know, is that it is a nature reserve. There's a huge dam. Oh, I'm annoyed with myself. I'm vlogging with chappies in my mouth. So there's a huge dam that goes, or is it river, that goes all the way until like far. If I have to go back to where I was telling you guys, where it looks so creepy, it's just masses and masses of water, and it all eventually leads to the ocean over there. When I used to live in East London, I knew that Kids Beach in my mind. Well, not in my mind, but I knew the type of people that would go to Kids Beach and would go to Hulu and would go to Igoda or Igoda, or well-off people. So it was quite an interesting trip for me to break through that glass ceiling in my mind, that I can just go there without feeling some sort of complex that I'm not wealthy enough to be in those kinds of spaces. And I guess that was the great big lesson for me, and that sometimes, in as much as economically or financially we do not have, a lot of the time the oppression or the I don't know, it starts in the mind. You have to break that cycle. You have to break that thought process in your mind that says, I can't be in those circles because they're better than me. And it's something for me that I have learned over the years.
If there is one thing I've always loved about East London, it is this stunning architecture. This, my friends, is the East London City Hall.
Like this, it's gonna be a very quick shot because it's just started raining hard and I don't want to step up that new camera. But this is what it is. I don't know if you're able to see me. I mean, to hear me with all this wind. But over there, if you can see over there, that's where the Esplanade is, the main beachfront of East London. Right now, I'm at a place called Footprints. Me to come and just sit and think and dream about leaving this place. I think being back here again for a little while has just allowed me to really appreciate East London for what it is, but also be appreciative of where I'm at, which is not in East London, that I'm no longer based in East London. Anyway, yeah, so just wanted to really quickly show you the most magnificent beach views that you will ever find. There's also another place, I don't know if you can see, I think it's right on top over there. There is a pathway for you to go to there. It is the most magnificent, breathtaking view. I think it's, I stand to be corrected, but I think it's the highest point in East London, on the beach side. What do you want to call it? I always when I would stand on top of there. I don't really have much to say about this place other than just it's just breathtakingly beautiful. Unfortunately, I didn't spot any Dassies. This place is well known for its Dassie community or population. Normally you would spot them just leaping across or running under the boardwalk. But it is such a beautiful spot and a beautiful part of East London. And I'm not really too comfortable being here by myself. But whatever. Okay, so this is it. Gorgeous. Gorgerella. Okay, stop everything because I've just spotted dolphins or whales or something. Oh my word. Okay, I need to sound like a normal human being. I don't know if you can see. Wait. over. Where are they? Over there. Where are they now? There. There. I was about to come out. Going ahead. Yeah. This is so cool. I have not seen this in ages. My word. Dolphins in the hizzy. It's a whole bunch of them. Oh, look at that. So guys, this last shot here was of me being with my family. This was New Year's Day. This was the day before I left East London. I spent obviously New Year's Eve into New Year's with my family, and this was the very first time that I felt quite emotional when I left East London. Not to say that I want to move back. No thanks. But I felt quite emotional in that of all the things that I have experienced last year, all these years, the things that I've done, things I haven't done, you know, the people that I've met, and the, you know, things I've seen, things I've done, places been to, blah blah blah. Nothing compares to sharing those moments with the special people in your life. And for me, it was so special going into the New Year's, not being at a party, not being at a festival, not, you know, doing anything that is so elaborate. You know, everyone, you know, always puts this pressure of New Year's to be like, it has to be the best one yet, we need to have the best party. And for me, just being with my family, being with my nieces and nephews, being with my sister and my cousins, it was so fulfilling for me, and made me realize that life is genuinely not meant to be done alone. And you can read into that whichever way you want to, but you always need to have, I believe, for someone else it might feel like it's you know, they need to be a one-man island, but for me, I'm not meant to do my life alone. I'm meant to do my life with a community, with with significant others or other, with family, with friends. Yeah, that was really just such a touching lesson, that hold on to the people that you love, because it is really a blessing to have those people in your life. And life is so much sweeter when done with not alone. So thank you so much, guys, and thank you for indulging me in this very easy, very chilled kind of a video. And I would hope, it is my hope, it is my prayer that you at least got to see a glimpse of the beauty that I get to see, that how I see this country and how I see life. That these are just the shots, these are shorts effectively of things to come. Even after COVID, and everyone says life is going to be significantly different, and that's fine. We'll take the challenge. As human beings, we are resilient. We're created to be resilient. We're created to rule and reign. And so even after COVID, even during COVID, we're still ruling, we're still reigning, and I'm gonna reign over the road trips in this country. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next episode.